Hello there, people of the internet. So, I have a dream gun right here. I have wanted one of these for the longest time, and I decided to go ahead, bite the bullet, and invest into picking one up. So this right here is a Uberti Cimarron produced 1872 Colt open top. There's a lot of different designations that have been placed on these revolvers, but the primary one that they are called nowadays is 1872 Colt open top. Now, these are essentially not quite identical, not quite exact, but essentially an 1860, which was a cap and ball revolver. And these right here are not actually conversions, but they're essentially what conversions are. Not a conversion because, well, I'm talking about the originals, not this reproduction. The 1872, technically not a conversion because Colt made them cartridge firing revolvers right from the factory. It was more like a transitional style revolver while they were working on getting their 1873 single action armies up and going. Alright, before we really get started, I want to go ahead and say thanks for watching, but the stuff that I'm doing here is not cheap. This right here is an expensive rifle, and this right here is not cheap ammunition. So I want to say thank you to what few Patreon supporters I have. If you would like to consider assisting me with the work that I do and helping me make future content, consider checking out both Utreon and Patreon, links in the description below. And that was a very popular handgun, and don't get me wrong, I do like those, but I wanted an open top for the longest time. I'd like to get my hands on like an 1851 Richards Mason conversion at one point or another, but I wanted specifically the 1872 Colt open top. Colt only produced about 7,000 of these for, I don't know, 15 months or so while they were working on their 1873 single action army. And there's a lot of history and whatnot that goes into this gun because this gun is based off of various other designs that Colt has come up with within its time. More specifically, this is based off the 1860 pattern. Now, the parts are not interchangeable. This is not a conversion revolver, although it basically does the things that a conversion revolver does. The 1860 was a cap and ball black powder revolver, whereas these right here were a cartridge firing revolver. So essentially, it's an 1860 that has an ejection rod. I mean, the dimensions and whatnot are a little bit different, but ejection rod and side gate loader. And the hammer has a built-in firing pin into it, and this is your cartridge firing 1860 inspired handgun. I wanted specifically the Colt open top versus a Richards Mason design because the open top has the rear sight on the back of the barrel right here and the front sight obviously on the front of the barrel, whereas the 1860 and 1851 had the sight on the hammer itself. Now, I do not mind having the sight on the hammer, but those revolvers tend to hit a little bit higher than I would really like. So this right here should hit actually pretty much more spot on to target, but I'm not positive about that quite yet. I have fired this to test functionality, but I haven't really tested accuracy yet, so that's exactly what we're going to be finding out here. So I'm out here, I have just some hand-loaded 38 Special, which is what this is chambered in. The original 1872 open tops were actually chambered in 40 or 44 Henry. I can't quite remember which it is. Now, these do not have safeties on them, so you would want to cowboy load these. That means you load one single round in, you skip a chamber, leave it empty, and then you load another 4 rounds for a grand total of 5. And whenever you do that, and you get to the end of your loading with your 5 rounds, you cock your hammer, and whenever you cock your hammer will be sitting over top of an empty cylinder, which you can see right here. You can see all the different brass casings right here at the end of the cylinder, and there's none right there in the chamber that is over the hammer. And now you can safely lower your hammer without the firing pin resting on a primer. And that is the safest way to load one of these old school revolvers that don't have a manual safety on them. This particular one does not have a safety on it. I know a lot of your single actions have safeties where if you don't actually have a finger pulling the trigger, then the firing pin will not protrude in and hit the primer. of the cartridge that is in the chamber, so you can safely carry 6. This does not have that. You have got to carry 5 in this, otherwise it will be unsafe. Now here at the range, I could, you know, just load 6 since I'm literally just going to be firing down at my target anyway. But this right here is a dream revolver of mine. I wanted basically an open top revolver. I didn't care if it was an 1851, 1860, you know, 1872. I wanted something that did not have a frame on top of the cylinder. And I wanted it to fire a modern cartridge that I could easily get my hands on. I was looking at 45 long Colt because that's more accurate towards what the originals were chambered in. But then I saw this 38 special and I was like, you know what? I have a lot of 38 special. I have the stuff to reload 38 special. And 38 special is not a harshly recoiling round. It's a comfortable round. And this right here is the full length 7.5 inch barrel. I hear gunfire off in the distance, so let's go ahead and entertain our neighbors with a little bit of gunfire as well. I do like the sights on these better than the sights that had the rear sights on the hammer, just because the rear sight on this thing is actually easier to see than the rear sights on the hammer. I do not know where this is going to hit, but I do know that we are going to find out. Let's find out. Well, I was aiming center target and I heard this clank of steel, so I'm assuming that we hit it. Yep, okay, so this seems to be pretty much dead on accurate. Yep, man, I like this thing. I'm over here firing 158 grain projectiles. These are just cast lead bullets. They've been properly lubricated. And they should be traveling at pretty decent speeds. This isn't exactly underloaded ammunition. I can't quite remember the velocities, but I know it's quite up there for modern cartridges. Now, since this is an open top revolver, you don't necessarily want to push this with exceptionally hot loads. I wouldn't run plus P ammunition through this or anything like that. But anyone who is familiar with your Colt single action army designs or any sort of gate loading revolver system will pretty much immediately recognize how this thing operates. You open up your gate right there, and then you have this ejection rod right here. This ejection rod does turn on your ejection containment unit. I'm not sure what I would call that. Ejection rod housing there. And it does slow down the process of actually ejecting your cartridges a little bit, but not by very much. Just push that down and it pushes the cartridges right out. These cartridges are lubricated, so they're not going to fall right out of the gun. But this right here will be good enough to actually get them out of the cylinder. Just like this. And just like that, whenever all 5 of your rounds are out, I did that nice and slow so I could catch my brass and not lose any. The first time I had brought this revolver out to test functionality, I was like speed ejecting, just actually I had a pocket on my shirt. I was trying to speed eject in that, just bam, turn, bam, turn, bam, turn. And one of the brass rounds had fallen into the grass down below me. And I watched it fall into the grass, and whenever it hit the grass, it disappeared. It vanished. I couldn't find it. So the earth has decided that it wanted that brass casing. And by all means, sometimes you just have to pay the earth a sacrifice whenever you get something as unbelievably amazing as this right here. Now, I know I said I wanted an open top, but I'll be honest with you guys, I was this close. Like I had it in my cart and I was about to pay for it before I came across this. I almost got myself an 1851 Richards Mason conversion, and it was beautifully engraved, and it was a nickel finish. It was like nickel and wood, and my God, it was so beautiful that I was foaming at the mouth to get that. But then I saw the 1872, and I was like, you know what? The 1872 has a cylinder on it, or has a sight on the actual barreling. I bet that's going to be a little bit easier to see than the sight on the back of the hammer like the Richard Mason would have. Okay, so I am noticing this because I had done this last time I had shot this revolver. Somewhere on this revolver is something sharp, and I have cut myself in the same exact spot twice with this thing now. And I'm trying to think of the different procedures that I had gone through to make that happen. you know, loading and unloading this thing. And I noticed with where the cut is, that is right where I put my finger whenever I am moving my finger along the ejection rod, the ejection port of this thing. And I think that I cut myself on this razor sharp ejection port right here, because boy, does that feel sharp. And I mean, it's just a very minor cut and it doesn't hurt at all, but keep that in mind if you decide to pick one of these up, because that ejection port is like absolutely razor sharp, and I have a cut again in the same exact spot that I've had before. Okay, well, short of me complaining about being wounded by my revolver, let's go ahead and put some more rounds downrange. I'm gonna aim a little higher than I was, and because I'm not 100% sure on where this thing's actually hitting. As a matter of fact, I should have a paint can out here. I'm gonna go spray paint my target real quick. There we go, put this on an empty chamber. I'm gonna go spray paint my target real quick so I can really tell where these are hitting. Okay, we have one freshly spray painted target. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take like a little bit of sandpaper and see if I can, because even if this isn't what is cutting me in, I'm fairly certain that it is, because man, that thing is razor sharp. Just the slot where this right here slides in and out of right there, I'm gonna take like a fine file and just dull that surface a little bit, because this is like I've been cut by this several times now, and I'm not positive on what has done it, but I'm pretty sure that it is that right there. Now that being said, I do have a peacock getting in the way. Look at that, we got Kevin over there. Kevin, you are in the way, my friend, and I need you to go in the opposite direction, if you would be so kind. Hold on, guys, I have to chase this peacock off. Kevin, is this the only video on YouTube where a Florida man chases a peacock with an 1872 single action? There he is. Hi, buddy. How's it going? God, I love my Kevins. All right, let's go ahead and do exactly what it is that we were going to be doing earlier before Kevin got in the way. Kevin, why do you always have to be in the way? God damn it. I'm going to aim a little bit, not actually, now that I've spray painted, I should be able to see where my rounds are hitting. I'm gonna aim just freaking dead center and take my sweet time with this round as well. And we're gonna see where it hits. All right. I can't see that, let me walk down there. Yeah, that's, I don't know, an inch lower than dead center. And that's basically about where I was aiming. So, sweet. Sun's going down. I can't quite see the sights all that well on this thing, but I can see them well enough to hit this target. Let me aim a little bit higher, see if I can get more of a center shot. But that one right there was pretty damn good. All right. Ah, dude. Yeah, I can see that one from here. That's pretty much center. This right here seems to fire basically exactly where I want it to hit. Let's send another. Man, this is a nice revolver, my goodness. This is an easy thing to shoot too. We'll talk about the trigger here in just a second now. All right. Damn, this is an easy revolver to shoot. The trigger on this is absolutely phenomenal. So, the triggers on any kind of single action typically tends to be phenomenal. It's an incredibly smooth revolver too. But the trigger on this, there's like no creep whatsoever. It's just, I don't know, probably, there might be like a millimeter or so before, not even a millimeter, just the tiniest little hair of creep before you hit a wall. And then once you get past that wall, man, that trigger just absolutely, that trigger is so good, dude. The trigger's probably got 3 pounds or so before it breaks. Man, that is phenomenal. I'm gonna go ahead and load up a few more rounds just because I feel like it. And I'm going to be very careful to not cut myself here. Let me go ahead and not screw up our unloading here. All right, I'm fairly certain that I am cutting myself on the actual ejection housing, the ejection rod housing here, because man, that is razor sharp, and that is exactly where that piece of my finger would be. So we're just gonna keep doing exactly this. It's definitely a slower procedure since I'm focused on not rubbing my finger along that area. Because yeah, whenever I was, that was right. That had to be what cut me on this thing. All right, just a few more. Have you guys, is there a video of a Florida man chasing around a peacock with an old school revolver on YouTube yet? Because if there's not, then whenever I put this up, there will be. I don't see any additional cuts, not on that hand, not on this hand, so I'm going to come to the conclusion that it was in fact that. All right, load it up, one, skip. So this right here is actually just a cartridge belt that I got off of like eBay or something for not a lot of money. And frankly, I am very pleased with it. It's a 30 caliber, it holds 38 special just fine. I mean, these are very in here, so I don't much have to worry about those right there. And I can go ahead and just run my revolver however I want. I'm moving it around and something feels loose on there. What is loose? What's rattling around? Oh, it's probably the freaking bullets in the chamber. Okay, let's go ahead and set another round downrange, shall we? I'm just gonna go ahead and aim for our steel just like I have been, just because clinking steel with this thing is fucking a whole new world experience. And this thing is so accurate too. My God. I can get really fast shots with this thing. And they actually hit their target. Damn. I think this might be the most accurate handgun I own. Out of everything that I own. And boy, is it comfortable to shoot. Me and my hand-loaded 38s. I mean, like I said, they're not exactly spicy rounds, but they're not exactly easy-going rounds either. They're just, what would I call them? They're just normal loads. But the revolver itself is on the particularly heavy side because it is quite the girthy revolver. And if you want to mitigate recoil, then having whatever piece of equipment it is that you're using, having that be nice and heavy definitely helps to soften that recoil the best that it can. You throw a rubber butt pad on it if it's a rifle or something, and you really have some light recoiling equipment. Okay, I have probably about 30 or so rounds left. I think I'm gonna go ahead and save those for another video. My goodness gracious, I love this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that right there, because that right there, I'm willing to bet that's what's been cutting me. It is razor sharp, and it's gonna be not hard at all to fix that. So I'm probably gonna go do that. Let me just check my screws real quick, make sure they're all still tight. I know these revolvers tend to have a tendency to have walking screws, so you just gotta make sure all your screws are tight. They're tight enough for me not to move them with my fingernail. Also, the little spring for the loading gate, just because of the way it's designed, these do wear out rather quickly. So if you do get yourself one of these, I recommend getting yourself more little springs for your loading gates, because they just tend to wear out and break over time. Now, as far as the Uberti Cimarron conversion, this is an absolutely beautiful revolver. We have engravings all along the cylinder here of all different sorts of, ships. I'm not sure if they're in a battle or not. I'm not sure what the situation is there. It looks like engraved 15th May 1843. Is that what that says? It's kind of hard to tell. My eyesight's not so good. But we have all different sorts of engravings and whatnot on the cylinder. And it is definitely beautiful. I can't 100% tell everything that's going on there, but those are definitely ships in water. The frame itself is an absolutely beautiful steel frame, obviously case hardened. And then the front end barrel, the ejection rod, the cylinder, all that is a blued metal. Over time, that will actually patina itself the more that you use your revolver. The trigger guard and the actual grip right here is made of brass by the looks of it. I'm not 100% sure if that's just an alloy to look like brass or if it's an actual brass. Not 100% positive. And then we have some gorgeous wood grips here. The wood grips don't quite fit onto the brass, but it's far from uncomfortable, and honestly, I don't even notice it unless I'm showing the revolver off like I am right now. Absolutely gorgeous revolver. In order to take the wedge out, you do want to, you know, turn your screw. There's a flat spot on the screw. I made the mistake of not realizing that, and I was trying to figure out why the hell this wedge wasn't coming out. Turns out you have to turn that screw in order to get your wedge out, so bear that in mind. Besides that, you know, the wedge comes out, barrel assembly comes off, cylinder comes off the front. Anyone who's ever disassembling 1851 or an 1860 or anything like that, very, very similar disassembly patterns, because this is obviously based off of those. I absolutely love this revolver, and I will love it more whenever I get it to the point to where it's not carving into my flesh. Now, I do have a couple of different markings right here on the bottom of the frame. I have what looks like a serial number, because it's actually stated twice on the bottom of the frame, and then another number, 11100, a 22 in a circle, and looks like CIP, and maybe a proof mark. I'm not 100% positive on what all of those are. Besides that, the markings on the top of the barrel, we have Cimarron, FAC, a lowercase c, Fredericksburg, Texas, a Uberti, Italy, and then another marking on that. So, yeah, I think that's all the markings we have here. Hold on. We have some markings over here on the bottom of the barrel as well. Aha! There's those proof markings. I knew that there was going to be proof markings somewhere on this. We have 38 Colt and Smith & Wesson / special. Oh, dude, I can shoot 38 Smith & Wesson from this? I actually have a lot of 38 Smith & Wesson. That is awesome. I didn't know that I could do that. Well, that is just absolutely amazing. This is a fantastic little revolver, and now it's a little bit more fantastic. It feels like there's something... Oh, okay, that's just the cylinder. I was about to say, it feels like there's something loose, but it's just the cylinder rocking in place there. Okay, so I will go ahead and show this off, because I did discover this the other day. The cylinder does have a tiny bit of play in it until you actually cock the hammer. Then there is no play whatsoever inside of the cylinder. It is rock solid. But with the hammer down, there's just the tiniest amount of play. Cocked, nothing at all. Oh, I'm noticing some more proof marks right here on the actual cylinder. So another set of marks to discover on this thing. Okay, well, I had a lot of fun out here, and I'm probably gonna go reload some more 38 special, because my God, I absolutely love this revolver. This is, like I said, 100% a dream gun of mine, and I am very happy to have gotten my hands on it. So I'm gonna go probably watch YouTube, drink whiskey, and reload ammunition. Thanks for watching, folks. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel. I do this kind of stuff all the time, as you can see from the car down there. If you like the video, do me a favor and actually like the video. That helps out with the algorithms and whatnot. Description down below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go ahead and go check that out. And I am going to head inside. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. Yeah, I don't know, I kind of want to shoot some more stuff. I'll look around, see if anything tickles my fancy, and decide on what I feel like doing after that. You guys go off, have a fantastic day. Okay, out here, rolling B-roll footage. I've noticed my tree branch here that I use for my 100-yard shots has been cut down, so I just have this little nub now. Until I find something a little bit better, I'm probably just gonna screw a stick there or something. I have confirmed that the ejection rod housing is in fact where I cut myself. So yeah, be warned, that's a little on the sharp side, and I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely gonna fix that. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably go do that like right now, actually, because that is not a hard fix. So consider that an educational little tidbit of information. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.